Cups Lawrence. Unlimited Cups, for those of you who are new, is a program sponsored by the Kaufman Foundation. Happens every week on Wednesday mornings across the country, in I think probably over 100 cities at this point. And we provide the coffee, and we provide a startup entrepreneur to talk about their experience in startup world, and you provide great questions and kind of an educational experience and kind of curiosity about startups, and together we make a startup community. So a couple housekeeping things. We want to thank our sponsors, Cider Gallery, for hosting us, and also Cider Office's co-working space upstairs. You've got startup space. Z's Divine Espresso for the absolutely delicious coffee, and they are reliably here every Wednesday morning with hot coffee. I think that deserves a round of applause. Yeah. So stop at their stores for the holidays here, and they give a great gift for stocking supper. And then also lawrencehits.com for broadcasting and live casting us if you want to go see a presentation that you missed. We would encourage social media. If you need internet access, there's Wi-Fi. It's CiderNet. The user is the word million, all lowercase, and the password is cups, all lowercase. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our startup presenter this morning. And this is the Audience Choice winner from Startup Weekend from last fall, this past fall. It's great. Yeah, they're still kicking. I think they got a lot ahead of them, but it's a, kind of going somewhere slowly. And I'm going to hand it over here to Lucas Miller to introduce their group. Let's give them a warm welcome.
Thank you, Joe, for having us and to the other 1 Million Cups organizers, and thank you everyone for coming out this morning. Beth McCune is here, Joe Jarvis is here. They were two of the people that helped, the primary movers that helped make the Lawrence Startup Weekend happen. And without them and the other judges and participants that are here, this would, would never have happened at all. So I'd like to get a round of applause for Joe and Beth McCune for organizing this. My name is Lucas Miller. I'm a mathematics instructor. I've been teaching for 12 years. I teach at the University of Kansas and Haskell Indian Nations University. And I run into a problem every semester that the company that we have started is designed to solve. So let me ask you, how many people here, this is a TI-83 calculator, how many people here have purchased something similar to this in the past? Almost everyone. Is anybody here, a parent perhaps, bought multiple ones of these? Yeah, there's a lot of people that have, and you wouldn't be alone. So every single semester, I ask my students to buy one of these things that costs $100. It's relatively unchanged from probably when all of us were going to school, unless you were maybe using an HP or a Casio, which is possible. But this thing hasn't changed very much in 20 years. In fact, I think this thing right here is 20 years old. This might have been my calculator when I was going to school. And every semester I ask my students to buy one of these. And I'm not alone. Teachers across the entire country are doing this same thing. TI, Texas Instruments, sells 5.5 million of these things every single year. At $100 a pop, that's almost $500 million, that's over $500 million every year that they're selling for a piece of technology that hasn't changed in 20 years, except in very cosmetic ways. It has a little bit more memory now than it had in the past. And so you have to ask yourself, why is this happening in an age where everyone has far more computing power in their pocket than this thing is possibly capable of? And so let me go ahead and click the slide here, so I want to show you something. This is the TI-83 calculator that I was just showing you, and this is my smartphone that's running a freely available TI emulator app that does the exact same thing as my calculator does. It looks the same, it has all of the same functionality, and all of the students in my class can, download one of these things. And they run it, and it's free. It doesn't cost them $100. But can anybody guess why I can't let my students use that app? Yeah.
Cheating.
Cheating, exactly. The problem is that my phone can do so much more. It can text, it can surf the internet, it can take photos of the exam. There's so many different things that it can do. One of the reasons why the Texas Instrument Calculator survived is because it is a single-use device. Okay, so that's the problem that we're trying to solve, is how do we make it so that our students can use the power, the computing power that they're bringing with them to the classroom. In this case, perhaps a Texas Instruments calculator, but also polling apps, dictionary, thesaurus apps, unit conversion apps. Perhaps I would rather have my students using the Wolfram Alpha app on the test instead of, say, the TI-83 calculator. Or maybe I want them using a TI-89 calculator. You know, they have all this computing power, but I'm not letting them use it because I'm afraid of them using these other things. So that's what we're trying to solve. So we want to make it so that we can use their smartphones in the classroom, but without being able to use unwanted apps, which may be, at certain times, particularly during the exams, texting, phone calls, the camera app, different things like that. So I want to make sure that our teachers have lots of control over the technology that's in their classroom. I want to save the students money so that they don't have to buy this extra single-use device. And it would be nice to perhaps get my hands on some of the $500 million a year that Texas Instruments is sucking out of parents' pockets. So Frank here is going to tell us a little bit about the technical end of how that might work.
Okay, just a little bit about what we need to do is obviously disable certain functionalities that are undesirable in the classroom. We need to get more control over the technology in the classroom. And we also need to create an inexpensive alternative. Lucas Miller, who you described, he has a bit of a background in academia, and my background is as a software developer, and we have Matthew, who is a student and entrepreneurial enthusiast, and Lara, who is a business information systems student as well. We did a couple mock-ups of what the pages might look like on the screen of someone's mobile device. The first thing they get is obviously a way to enter. And when students start up the app, they would enter a key that was given to them by their instructor. The instructor got this generated from our system through the instructor portal. Then the first thing they would do is confirm that yes, that is the right instructor, the right course, and here are the two applications that you can use within MoKey, the two different calculator options. There could be many calculators, there could be other options as well for other fields. Here's an example that once a calculator is selected, they would be able to use this calculator from within inside our app that is blocking all the other services and hardware. And obviously in real life we would use real estate a little better than the select shows. Then when they exit, they would get confirmation and say, you still have such and such time available to continue. And so the instructor portal would give that sign-in key, and it would also list the students by name and give a little bit of statistics on who's using what app, and that may be useful for what apps the instructor may select for another exam. And this, again, this is just a visual of what the instructor might see on his or her portal. A bit of architecture. Everything talks to a central server, and the instructor gets to see what students, are using the app or are not using the app for whatever reason. Maybe they're still using their TI-83. They haven't signed in yet. Also, the instructor will see who's checked out and who better not be having a smartphone in front of them during the exam. Again, the server coordinates the session between the students and the instructor. And some of the services that we would like to lock out, if we can't lock them out because of operating system restrictions, we certainly want to be able to notify the instructor that these things have been locked out. In terms of the technologies that we need, nothing earth-shattering here. Instructor portal can be a simple website. HTML, Ajax, JSON. Server, Ruby, Rails, Scala, like any of the frameworks. iOS and Android obviously are going to be the two big targets for mobile app development that we expect to find on the students' devices. Again, just to reiterate, we want to block access to select hardware, the camera. We don't want people taking pictures of the exam for future use. Outside applications, we want people texting and, hey, what did you put on question 3? We want to be able to, if we can't block, we want to be able to detect and report to the instructor portal. And I will pass it over to Matthew, who's going to talk a little bit about the business aspects.
Alright, so obviously we sat down and we were all thinking, this is an awesome idea. But we didn't know what everyone else thought. So me and George decided to go, and it was homecoming weekend. We went to all the university tents and found all sorts of people, families, kids, younger kids, college students, professors. And what we found out was that everybody was interested in this product, because everyone would use it. Professors wanted more classroom stability and security, because right now, if somebody pulls out their phone, they can put it on their desk, they can do whatever. If you're logged in somewhere, then it's automatically a little bit more secure. Teachers or students, a big calculator, if you're just going to one class, it's kind of a pain to carry around. Having your phone that's already in your pocket is pretty convenient. And the big thing was families, parents specifically. They're saving a lot of money. If you have 3 kids at $150 a pop, that's a lot of money to throw down the drain for a device that does the same thing for every single device. Pass it off to George.
So we knew that even if the teachers wanted it, or even if the parents wanted this, even if the students wanted it, it wouldn't matter if the professors wouldn't agree with using technology in the classroom. And what we found was actually pretty surprising. We interviewed the old dean of the engineering school, and we actually found out that one of the reasons why he had retired was because he didn't like keeping up with all the new technology. And really, if you think about it, in the past 10 or 15 years, technology really wasn't prevalent in the classroom. All students didn't have laptops, smartphones, tablets. And this is a whole new variable to teachers to try to entertain their students, keep them focused while they have all this technology. And I'm a student myself, so I'm sitting in the back of the classroom and I can see all the students on their laptops, and they're definitely not taking notes or paying attention. So this would be that added measure of security for the teacher to know that technology is actually helping in the classroom and not hindering the student's experience. I'll pass it back to Matt.
Our market entry strategy was Lucas let us know that there's math conferences and things all over the country, and things like this at 1,000,000 Cups. We're just trying to get our name out there right now. Mostly finding a front-end developer would be fantastic. But for right now, we're just getting our name out. These are a list of a couple different things that we would like to get involved in.
To some extent, market entry, we would just take a page out of TI's playbook. There's they wrote the book on how to get 90-95% of the market share, and in part it's by getting teachers to adopt their particular calculator and get it integrated into the classroom. So they would not have to change that. You could still use a TI emulator app. So you're not asking teachers or textbooks to change necessarily. You're just transferring over what actual physical device that you're using that app on.
Alright, this is just a list of a couple little bit of facts that we found while doing some of our market research. Obviously, TI has the most of the market. Casio is a close second at 7%, but not a whole lot other than Texas Instruments. And a little bit of our plan for what we had established during startup week. And at that point, we'll be open for discussion.
Beyond school use and application for this, I can think of a number of commercial applications. For instance, in the insurance or financial services industry, there are exams that need to be taken for licensing for other states and things like that, and calculators are allowed. In pilot training, the FAA has tests that need to be taken that are written and allows certain things. I think that the market for this is beyond traditional university or high school classrooms. I'd also think that there almost needs to be an agreement between the student and the teacher, the student and the entity that's offering this. It says, I agree that you're going to disable these things on my phone for this period of time, or to require people that if they don't want to use it, turn it in your cell phone, put it on my desk.
And
I wonder how you address these other markets. It's kind of two-pronged. And I wonder how you might address that legal part of that agreement that I'm going to allow you to do this to my phone at this period of time.
as far as the first part is concerned, some of our mentors at
Hey, Lucas, can you pass the mic around?
Yeah. One of our mentors at the Lawrence Startup Weekend mentioned some of these same things, is that there's a lot of standardized testing where they may or may not be open to the idea of using something like MoKey in order to allow students to use their own device during the testing experience. There might be some real pushback from that. On the other hand, there might be some of those organizations that might be open to it. We won't know unless we ask. Certainly at the high school level, the calculator that they're using in the classroom is driven by what calculator they're allowed to use on the ACT and the SAT. And that's the TI generally. And so that's one of the things that's nice about this is that, they might still need to practice a little bit with something that has buttons, even if the ACT or SAT still made them use the old-fashioned device. But the emulator app is perfect, so they could still use that and be comfortable with it once they get it. There's the legal issues. Once the student buys and downloads the app, I'm assuming that they're going to be giving us permission to lock out certain features of their phone for a limited amount of time.
Just the duration of the app, I mean, they can always exit.
So there'd be an I agree function in that
Right.
process.
Right. Yes.
Isn't this kind of like poking a bear? I mean, you got a big company that makes millions of dollars on something that currently you can find stuff for free on it, but once you break into their actual territory, like run into their den practically, don't you think they're going to get a little mad that people are using their physical setup on something and not want to charge you for it?
So that, to some extent, that's not our problem because we're not the person or the company that has developed the emulator apps. I would imagine that TI has a problem with the Wabbit Emu is the name of the app, WABBITEMU. So if you want a graphing calculator on your phone, you can go ahead and download that. That they may have already addressed that. There's also a number of scientific calculator apps that are independent of TI that are available on the App Store. So you can choose which, as the instructor, you can choose which apps from the Play Store or the Apple Store that your students are allowed to use, and whether or not TI has a particular problem with one of those apps, they can address that with that app developer.
So your server isn't actually going to be running that app through their phone or anything.
It just allows the students to use an app they've already downloaded during the testing.
Then how does that work with you making money on the server side of things? So what's who pays into you, I guess, would be
The
question.
students / the parents are going to be downloading our app so that they can use their phone in the classroom instead of, say, buying a calculator or a thesaurus or a dictionary.
So you're not going to charge the school anything?
Correct. Yeah, this will be free for the teachers, administrators, so forth.
I guess this is kind of a two-part question. One, what is some of the barriers for you guys creating this app? And then two, is your idea patentable? I mean, what prevents some other barrier company going, hey, that's a good idea. We got a whole staff of engineers. We can build that app in 2.5 seconds.
Well, as with anything, it's going to be copyable. I mean, innovation seems to be the best way to keep ahead of these things. And there may be other competition out there. I don't know that that is ever going to be a thing that we can prevent. I mean, you can try patents, but software patents is a whole world that I know it's fraught with problems, and I just don't know enough about it.
As far as the major barriers.
The major barriers, in terms of the technology, certain operating system restrictions may prevent us from blocking certain things. If we can't block it, then we will, try to detect and report that someone's trying to use an app outside of our app, through multitasking or whatever, or that they're trying to use the camera. We have to investigate that. I'm not an app developer. My familiar mostly with the back end. We need to do more investigation in terms of actual development of the app, native iOS or Android app.
They're back.
I look at this and I think it kind of leads to the slippery slope. I mean, what's to stop me from downloading this app, coming in, showing you my phone, pocketing that, and saying, taking Brian's phone out of my pocket because he's got the test in 6 hours and I've got it in the 2nd hour, and then using his phone when you think I'm actually using my phone, which I brought in and showed you, and you can look at it because
Right.
high school and college kids are good at cheating.
So, yes, they are. And this is one of the things that we've talked about in the past. Is that there's actually nothing that is going to make the classroom cheat-proof. That's just not going to happen. If you have to set the bar pretty high, though, to eliminate the majority of cheating. Now, to address that exact issue, one thing that you can do is that when a phone is running our app, one of the things that we were thinking about doing is having a border around the phone that would, say, be tied to the key code that for that particular exam. So when a person locks in that phone, then it's, say, going to have a pink border around the very edge, and the student's not actually going to know what color that is until they come into the class and they sign the phone in to the exam based off of the key code for that exam. And then as an instructor, I'm generally going around looking at what everybody is doing, and if you see somebody using a device that does not have that pink border around the screen, then you know that they're using an unauthorized device. So, there's different things that we can do. It's going to take continual updating. For the most part, this is one of the things, people are going to be creating custom operating systems to get around this. There's all kinds of different things that they can do with, say, a rooted Android device. But the fact is that 99% of the time when a student comes up with something like that, like a custom OS, they put a YouTube video up showing people how they did it. And so as long as you have somebody that's continually monitoring YouTube and the web for these, gross violations of, how to circumvent this policy, then you're going to get most of the people, and be able to patch most of the holes in the system. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, someone had an idea of creating an app that would restrict text messaging, for example, while the car was moving in a way of solving, clearly needed problem. And it was the carriers that were very interested in that not happening. So, I can see the same problem with this one, in that if I'm going to restrict the time that a student can text or make a phone call, for example, then the carrier suddenly would be pressuring Apple not to allow that on their iOS store. Have you run into that discussion yet?
No, we haven't. The one thing I can say is that there are parental control apps out there that do this exact same thing and work in almost the exact same way that we want our app to work. And so that's our biggest indication that this is doable, is the fact that it has been done in a different context. Will?
I think you guys have done an amazing job of opportunity recognition, which is really the heart of solving entrepreneurial problems. And I'm wondering, the next step for a bootstrap startup like you guys requires money and or talent, because there's a pretty big development curve. I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit more specifically about where you are in that curve and some of the challenges that you're finding.
Well, the biggest problem that we have right now is that our team is short one wheel. We've got, we drive a 5-wheel vehicle. We don't have the we don't have an app developer on. Where Frank is, is very good server side, but we're going to need somebody that wants to develop either an iOS or the Android app side of this problem, and we don't have that right now.
I'd love to learn, but I don't think I'd get ramped up in time for what we.
And a quick follow-up, are you looking to do that by giving somebody an equity stake in the business? Or are you trying to find investors to give you money to pay that person?
I think an equity stake would be ideal. We'd be happy to bring on more people onto the team if they were, if they would provide some, needed assistance. Yeah. One or two or more. Yeah. Suma.
So how difficult is it actually to lock out certain functions? Is that something you have to delve pretty deep into to try to do? And the second question is, why wouldn't you just team with the company that's developing the emulator app to begin with? Looks like they've got all the traction in the market as far as recognition at least.
So let me address the second part of that first. And the thing with the emulator app is that although I don't know why they're not doing this right now, they don't seem to be. The TI is, and the graphing calculators is where we like to make our money. Because there's a lot of money in that market, but there's actually a much larger problem. So, I can envision, an English teacher that might want a student to be able to have a thesaurus, a dictionary, and say a Google, an electronic copy of Tom Sawyer or something for an open note exam. And it has nothing to do with a graphic calculator, but all of that can be done on a phone. And so they want their student to be able to use their phone with all of the things that they have without being able to use the internet or text message. So it's a much broader classroom education software than just, say, a calculator, although the calculator is the key to actually making, I think, real money on it. As far as, Beth, you.
So I just have to say that I'm super impressed with the customer discovery that you guys did. It sounds like you've done some more since Startup Weekend as well, which is awesome. I'm just curious if you have learned things through those conversations that were unexpected and how that might have affected the plan that you have moving forward.
One thing that we learned is we kind of expected that students would care a little bit more about the pricing, but they actually don't, because they don't buy it as their parents. They buy it. Another thing that we learned was actually some professors don't care if you're cheating in the classroom. Like, for example, some of the higher level engineering classes, they say use everything that you can because you're going to need it, basically. And in the real world, when you're solving these problems in the real world, you're going to have all those resources anyway. In the back.
So, this thing seems, it's tagged basically for academia. Do you guys see any other options out there for it? Specifically, like I can see this as something where, one of the major problems right now is information leakage out of corporations. I mean, if you could tie this into where it becomes a security feature, the second you walk through a door, you log into this and basically tie up your network, not available for visitors to come in and take pictures or to take proprietary information off of the network server. Is that something that you thought about doing, like diving a little bit further? Or is that a little bit way too out of the scope?
I think Sony would definitely like that. Actually, I can't remember who it was, but during Startup Weekend, someone had told us that they knew of a company that had done this privately. So I think that this definitely does exist. especially for like government agencies, but I think that there's kind of a larger consumer product that does this that companies can just buy and use as kind of a turnkey solution. So I think that definitely is a good idea. Yeah, back here.
Oh, me? What kind of software does the teacher, the professor have? And do they pay? You said they don't pay, but they download an app or?
They've signed into a web portal, and that would be free to them. They would have access to that, and that's what they would use to generate the key and put on the board that here's your key code for this session. So yeah, for the instructor, there's no fee. The instructor just specifies the app.
So as far as like how much you plan on charging for this, you were mentioning that it's $150 a pop for a TI-80 whatever. But I get a friend for life when I do that. I never have to get rid of it. It'll last me forever, or I can sell it to the next person who needs it for $50 or whatever. I can make some of my money back on it. With this, they're putting money into it, but they don't get anything back out of it necessarily. So, or they don't have that, physical thing that they still have. What are you guys planning on charging as a fact of or what have you figured would be a good cost for this? Are you guys going to do like a monthly charge thing? Like you get to use it for however long or what?
That was one of the things we found doing our market research, asking around. We were thinking initially like $25 because 75% off, but people were mostly willing to pay $3. That was about the most anybody was willing to pay. We got up to 20, but for one or two people, that was about 50. So it's about $3 is what we're thinking.
Is there a clicker around?
As far as it going on and selling it, it's $3.
And now these are very, very, very preliminary financial projections. It's just something that we worked up in conjunction with Joe. But it seems reasonable that at $3, something like $3 for a download, that we could make this work. And perhaps make an honest argument for an initial round of funding for 2 years at $3 per download. And at $3 a download, you have you don't have to buy a $150 calculator, and you might not even have to buy multiple ones of them. And so in that, that's something that I have that on my phone, and I use it all the time. Actually, it's really nice to have a TI on your phone. You have a follow-up?
Yeah, well, no, it's not the same realm, I guess. But if you have a whole bunch of different kids that want to use different TI-83 apps or TI-89 plus apps or all these different types of apps, how are you going to filter out which apps that the teacher is allowing versus which apps you're not? Or like, you said you wanted to go into the realm of English or other studies where you have like dictionaries and thesauruses. Everybody's going to have the one that they like to use the most, And so are you going to limit it to a specific ones, or are you going to have the teacher select which ones they're allowed to use or not? Or
that's going to be completely up to the teacher. On the web end, where the teacher is going to be using this interface to control what the students are allowed to use, they'll be able to pick out which apps they're allowed to run on their phone. And if they want a dictionary, they're going to need to get the dictionary that is approved the same way you need a textbook that is approved for your class.
so it's going to be a little more active as far as like the teacher can actually sit there and see which things are running and actually be able to see.
Who's logged in, who's using it.
As a teacher, I can envision having a section in my syllabus that addresses this issue. You can either have a TI-83 calculator, or you can download the MoKey app and this or this calculator emulator, and you can use that on the exam.
Okay.
What's that?
I see a lot of motivation for students or teachers to switch over to using the app instead of the calculator, but it seems like the people you need to address first are the teachers and get them to switch to make it available for the students and make it an option. Do you think teachers are going to be motivated enough to pick up this new system, be an early adapter to it, without any real benefit to them? It almost seems like more of a headache for the teacher than just like, this system's already working, their parents can afford these calculators, this is working fine. how are you going to target those like early adapter type teachers who are going to be the first ones?
Well, we talked to the business school and engineering school, and I think it was chemistry or something, the science department. And teachers hate phones, so having more security and knowing that students aren't texting or talking to somebody or cheating, period, would give the teacher a little bit more security within their classroom.
To build on that, 'cause that's exactly right. I think that we've actually talked with a couple of school board members here in town and a couple of teachers here in town, including myself, that would be willing to give this a shot. And we'll try and work out the bugs as best we can and just grow in an organic fashion and see if we can get one classroom after another to adopt the technology. And one of the things that's interesting is that, by the time you get to the college level, a lot of students have already have one of these things, and they have less incentive to use a technology like this. And so that we're going to have to work at the younger grade levels up. Haskell in my classroom is a little bit of a different story because a lot of my students aren't coming into the classroom with a TI calculator, so I'm going to be able to test this, every single semester once it's constructed. I would love to have it personally, and we'll just find some other teachers that feel the same way.
All right. Thanks once again to Z's Divine Espresso for providing a shot of caffeine to the Cyber Gallery for hosting with their gallery and co-working space upstairs. LawrenceHits.com for being the media sponsor. And we have one final question for you guys. MoKey, again, one of our Lawrence Startup Weekend winners, the People's Choice Award. And it's really great to see a couple of businesses that seem to have come out with a startup weekend that are making progress and doing cool things. And so what can we as a community do for you? We want to help you keep rolling and figure out how to maximize the opportunity that comes from this problem recognition that you have taken care of. How do we do it?
The answer is right here. We would like you to refer to us any friends, family, colleagues, associates that might be potentially interested in working on this problem and helping us solve it on the technical end. And or assistance in other ways. We're willing to bring on equity partners for increased momentum and to round out our team skills. In our contact information, we have business cards. If anybody has, wants to be able to get a hold of us, you can do that, or you can hit us up on Twitter. It's easy to get a hold of us and just refer those people to us. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.